So today we're going to make a fried chicken dinner. I am using a box product. I said I do use those sometimes. Jiffy. I think I'm going to make some corn muffins. I haven't quite decided on that yet. Depends on how much time everything else takes me today. So usually I make dinner and I sort of make things up as I go along. So what I did this morning, which I did not tape for you, was I took a pack of chicken thighs and drumsticks. They're pretty cheap. And I made my own buttermilk. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but it's pretty simple. My sister gave me this tip a long time ago, and it's very cost effective. I had probably about a half a cup of sour cream left in my refrigerator, and I took milk. I had 2% milk, which sometimes I have 1%, sometimes I have skim, whatever's on sale. So I put in the half a cup of sour cream and poured in the milk, and then used a whisk and whisked it together to be a nice thick consistency, and then I poured that on top of the chicken. So I think that there is 10 pieces of chicken that I'll be doing today. And I put it in there, like I said, this morning, probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning. I usually like to have it soaked for overnight or 24 hours, but I'm pressed for time today, so probably soak for about 6 hours or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare the oil, which I don't know if you can see very well, but I use Wesson corn oil, and I'm only using that because we got that on sale. And for a couple bucks, literally $2.69, I got a candy thermometer at at one of the cheap department stores, Walmart or Target or something. And I just put it on the side. I do not have a deep fryer, so I just use a regular old Dutch oven. And I use probably about, like a quarter or so of the oil that I had in there. And I'm going to take some vegetable shortening. Excuse me. Like I said, I don't really measure. So I'm just going to put in a bunch of shortening. Now I always do this one right before I'm getting ready to dredge the chicken. That way all I have to do is turn it on and all the oil's already in there. There I go with that humming again. So like I said, that's a great tip with the sour cream. I don't measure things, so it is like a half a cup, probably like a cup to, I don't know, I use this big bowl here for the chicken, so just fill it just so the chicken's covered. That's really how I scope it out, is just to fill enough liquid in there for that. Now, if you don't have sour cream and you don't have buttermilk, just use milk. I've done that many, many, many times. And I don't know, I have a lot of stuff in there. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to make it so you can see it, but there's a bunch of shortening in there. So I don't put it in there all at once, obviously. I don't have a deep fryer, so I do the best I can with what I have, and that's what you should do. You shouldn't go out of your way to buy things. Use what you have lying around. I mean, if you have the money to invest in something, get a KitchenAid, because that's the best investment you're ever going to make. And I'll always say that over and over and over and over again. That was the best gift I've ever gotten. I make the most use out of it. So, alright, I'm going to move these over here in case I need them again. And so I have the chicken here, the platter it's going to go on, and the flour dress. And it doesn't look like I have enough here. So I'm going to get some more flour. Ooh, you hear my kitty jingling. She likes to jingle. I like to know when she's coming. So we put that bell on her counter. And on my 25-pound bag of flour. I make so much bread and things, I need all this flour. bits out just in case I need some more. This over here. Alright. Now, this is Southern Fried Chicken. And Southern Fried Chicken, you just take the flour and pepper. I use a lot of pepper. And salt. About a teaspoon of salt. And one more of that. And let's see here. One thing I always tend to add is paprika. This is I think I have some more. There we go. And paprika. You have to use a lot of spice and flour because it has such a strong flavor that if you don't season your flour, your coating is not going to taste good. And to spend all this time preparing it and somebody go to bite into it, it doesn't taste good. Now what's up? Okay. Whew. Okay, so what I've done is I've turned my oven on to 375 degrees because the whole focus here is to get the coating nice and crisp, and then I put it into the oven after I take it out of the oil to ensure that it's cooked all the way through. And then after the fried chicken, we're going to make some mashed potatoes, and then I'll pull some vegetables out of the freezer, whatever, heat those up, and if I have time, the corn muffins. I'm probably not going to have time for that, but let's see what happens. Okay, so the rule of thumb is you use one hand to pull out and to dredge, and then you try to leave the other hand clean. So this is how we're going to work it. You're going to take the chicken out. I'm going to dredge it. We're going to run this through twice. Shake off the excess and place it on the plate. Now as you're placing it, the chicken is absorbing the flour. And the longer you let it sit in between, you know, like by the time you run through, it's sat long enough. We're going to run it through again. It's going to be a nice, thick, crispy coating. My kids love my fried chicken. In fact, when my daughter just came down, she said, "What's for dinner?" And I said, "Oh, I'm making fried chicken." And she said, "Fried chicken!" Because I'm not going to say it's better than KFC, but pretty close. Okay. Dunk and dredge, dunk and dredge. Nice silly songs. That's it. After I run this first, run all this chicken through the first time, I'm going to turn on the oil. That way by the time I'm done with the second round, the oil should be ready. Now, I just got that candy thermometer from my son for Christmas. Before that, what I would do to ensure that the oil was hot enough is I would put a little water on my hands and I would flick it into the oil, and if you hear, if you hear it sizzle, then you pretty much know that the oil's ready. But a lot of my stuff is all guessing. I don't like directions really. I gotta, I don't know. I like to sort of try to figure it out for myself. There are times, especially, when you're baking cookies and stuff like that, you gotta follow. You gotta follow those directions because that's all chemistry. I mean, cooking is chemistry too. Alton Brown, he's great. Watch him. He gives you a lot of great information and talks to you about how things work structurally, chemically. Pretty interesting. So I hope you guys are all enjoying my blog. I enjoy creating it. I've had a lot of fun making it. And, you know, make sure you put a comment down after you watch. Let me know what you think about it. If you didn't like it, if you did like it, what do you think I should add for the next time I do a video on cooking? Or add a comment about how you change things up. You know what I've done before is I've added Parmesan cheese before into the coating. That's always good. Or if you don't want to fry it, you can bake it. You use breadcrumb instead of the flour. Is that everything? That's everything. Okay, so I'm trying to get this gunk off here. So I'm going to work from the bottom up. Alright. So I'm going to start this on high, just so I can get things nice and melted, and I'm going to turn it down on low. I have an electric range, so it took me a long time to learn how to cook on electric. And all I can say is you really got to work with it. You know, you have to know your oven, your stove, what works best. You know, my stove and oven is old, and the oven is 50 degrees too hot. And you learn that the hard way when you go to bake something. So it's like I set the temperature for 325, but I know it's 375. So okay, so I add 2 pieces at a time to the milk. Again, the second time. You shake it off. This gives you a nice thick coating. Okay. And we'll leave those in there, and then I'm going to put in 2 more. I try to do it so I know which ones have been done twice and which ones haven't. So, fried chicken. Took me a long time to master this, to figure out which would work best and which didn't. And that's why I'm here, to share what I've learned. Save you time. Free tips. Okay. So, it tends to get a little tedious. What are you going to do? Gotta do it. Oil's melting good. Actually, almost done here. It's like club fingers. Butterfingers. It's my favorite candy bars. Now I'm rambling because it's like awkward silence. That's like sometimes I miss pieces, so I just put some. Put this in here, that in here. Looks like we only have 1 more round after that. We're good to go. don't know how many cups of flours I started off with. I think I was just pouring stuff in. I mean, it all depends on how many pieces you're doing, what kind of pieces you're doing. You know. And if you have leftovers, you gotta throw it out because you had raw chicken in it. So, you'll get the hang of it. I always think if I can do this stuff, anybody can do it. It ain't rocket science. Ooh. You know what I like about these pieces? I fry them up and the kids like them for, you know, their goodies. The Crispies. That's it. Clean up this last bit here. And my temperature gauge says that it's not there yet. Let me see the directions. Just chicken 350. And this says it's, oh, it's climbing here in the center. That's what I want. Okay, it's smoking. I think it's pretty hot. So we're going to start it ready. It's going to go tsh. That's hot. Woo! I'm going to turn it down to about medium high. Okay, so I'm going to take all these off here. Now, I suggest that you invest in a pair of tongs. If you don't have any, I got my tongs at the dollar store, and they work great. They work great. That's from Nemo. I know, I'm not right, I know. And it's no big secret. I'm just glad I can share my zaniness with all of you. All of you that know me, you know. I'm being good. Being hate myself. Okay, so I thought I pulled my tongs out. I got a big mess over here. What did I do with them? Oh, here they are. Tongs, dollar store specials, I love them. Work great. So I haven't had it in there for very long. I like them to get golden brown before I turn them. So I'm going to move the camera over this way so you can get a good, try to get you a good look at what this looks like. Steady. So there's the fried chicken frying. And we'll come back in just a minute.